As I was preparing for this Sunday sermon, the passage kind of reminded me of an incident that happened in the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chronicles of Narnia. If you've ever seen the movies, I encourage you to read the book, because the books offer insights that the movies simply are not able to, or for whatever reason Disney chose not to. And I can imagine what their reasons were. However, C.S. Lewis was an amazing mind, and he was able to capture children's imagination with his stories of Narnia. If you're not familiar with Narnia, it is a land that is magical. The animals speak. The trees come alive in ways that they don't around here. There are forces of good and evil, and the great high king is Aslan, who is a picture of Jesus Christ. In the stories, especially the first couple stories, there are 4 children from England that find their way transported into Narnia. And the first time, they were little children, and they became kings, and they actually lived there a very long time. They even grew up in Narnia. But then the time came for them to come back to England, and there they were, little children again. The second time they came, they were blown into Narnia by a magical trumpet, and thousands of years had passed between the time that they had been there to the time they were at now. And all of the familiar places were now either ruins or they didn't exist at all. And they didn't recognize it. Aslan, for whatever reason, had not been showing themselves. And as they were lost and ready to make a decision, a monumental decision, Aslan did appear. But only one of them saw Aslan. The others were not able to see him. And there are lots of ideas in my mind as to why that might have been. And sometimes God does not reveal His entire will to everybody, and only certain people are able to catch a vision, and then they have to share that vision, and then hopefully people will obey and come alongside. The other possibility is what I see here in this passage, where Jesus is saying, those people who love me will see me. And Lucy, the youngest, loved Aslan most. So I titled this Limited Exposure based upon that idea that for whatever reason, Jesus Christ did not reveal Himself to the whole world. It's limited. It's limited to a certain number of people. Jesus is talking to His disciples very specifically in this passage. And I think we need to keep that in mind as we try to understand exactly what He's saying and how it might apply to us. Jesus says to His disciples, "A little while longer, and the world will see me no more." And He's talking very little while, like 24 hours, right? Because this is the night before He had already been betrayed by Judas, and they were about to arrest Him within a couple of hours, and then He would die the next day. "A little while longer, and the world will see me no more. But you will see me." This is His promise to the 12, to His disciples. "Because I live, you will live also. And at that day, you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you." Up until this point, Jesus had used similar verbiage as He talked to His disciples, as He talked to the crowds, even as He talked to the Pharisees. He would say, "Believe that I am in the Father, and He is in me. And if you don't believe me, at least believe the works." In fact, I quoted that here in John 14:11. "Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works themselves." But Jesus' verbiage changes now. It's not a matter of faith. He's saying you're not going to believe. You're going to know this. You're going to experience it. You're going to see me with your own eyes. Again, He's talking to the disciples. And so, seeing is living, is knowing. So if the disciples see Jesus resurrected, they will know that he is alive. And because he's alive, they will live also. And because they see him alive, it's no longer a matter of faith for them. It's a matter of knowing. Now Jesus begins to talk about you and me. He says, he who has my commandments and keeps them, it is he who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him. So what Jesus is saying at this point is, you may not physically see Jesus risen from the dead. However, if you love Jesus and you are keeping his commandments, then you are going to experience Jesus Christ within your life. He is going to reveal himself to you. John also, the apostle also says in John 14:15, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Now, what did Jesus command? You can yell it out loud if you want. What's that? Love one another. Yes. That's the commandment. There are actually two of them. Believe that I am the Christ and love one another. So have that relationship with Jesus, and in turn have the relationship with one another. If you're doing those two things on a regular basis, that's evidence that you love the Lord and that he is in your life. So the obedience is evidence of a relationship. Now Judas asked a good question. Now this is a different Judas. This isn't the one that betrayed him. Remember, he's not even in the room anymore. He took off. But the other Judas said to him, Lord, how is it that you will manifest yourself to us, but not to the world? And I think that's a valid question. These men had been following Jesus for 3 years with the expectation that Jesus is going to reign. He's going to be the Messiah. And Jesus didn't do anything to thwart that understanding up until now. Their thought was, even if Jesus dies and rises again, at that point, everybody will know. And yet Jesus is making it clear that even now, he is not setting up a political kingdom. The world is not going to see him, but we will. And so the question arises, how can that even be? How will Jesus limit that? Now keep in mind the idea of Aslan and Lucy and her siblings. Jesus answered and said to him, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. Now these are promises from Jesus, and it's a way that it works. So if you love Jesus, you're going to keep his word. And if you love Jesus, then the Father is going to identify you as somebody that he loves, to the point where he's going to send his Holy Spirit to live within you. Love begets love. Now, John the Apostle said in another place, we love him because he first loved us, which is true. There's a general love that we are told about in John 3:16. For God so loved the entire world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So our faith response, our love response, causes the general opportunity for salvation to become realized in our lives. He makes our home with us. Now the opposite is true too. No love equals no obedience and no relationship. He who does not love me does not keep my words. And the word which you hear is not mine, but the Father's who sent me. So what Jesus is saying here, there are two things. First, you've got that flip side which says that if you don't love Jesus, you're not going to act like you love Jesus. If you act like you love Jesus, it's because you do love Jesus. You're not able to truly love people unless the love of Christ is within you. And Jesus is saying that there's authority here. He's not speaking on his own, but it's the Father who has given him these words to say, even on this night before he dies.